down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, bang, bang, welcome to the Savvy Radio Show. Man, I kind of like being an entrepreneur, and I hope that whoever's listening to this, that you have the entrepreneur in your blood, because you're in for a treat for a powerhouse entrepreneur, business owner. And let me just get his name out there so you guys can start Googling up Wade Reeves, and that's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yep, I had to bring on someone from Oklahoma now, which is even crazier since I've interviewed people all over the world. This guy really turned me on through another friend. A friend suggested I should invite this person to the Savvy Leadership Retreat. I'm like, who is this guy? Oh, he's got this hat brand called OkIe. I'm like, OkIe, okay. And he's like, he's in something stores. And I'm like, well, all right. He sounds like he's an entrepreneur. Dude, when I met this guy, Mr. Reeves, I was just blown away about his passion for success, his work ethic to get it done, and also the vulnerability of having all these other powerful entrepreneurs breathe life into him and his business and give him suggestions, good, bad, and ugly. And he received it. And I was like, this is a couple months ago, we did this retreat, and I was like, man, I need to call this dude. So that's all I know about this guy. I know that you're on, Mr. Wade Reeves has a brand called the OkIe Brand. It is a very hot and up and coming local brand here in Oklahoma City that's worldwide in my mind. I bought a hat myself. He's in 53 stores, which is super exciting. And he also just has a national chain that he's still negotiating with, which is Tractor Supply. And if you don't know who Tractor Supply is, one of my friends actually has the building that Tractor Supply is in. So I'm very familiar with the inner workings of Tractor Supply and how detailed and crazy they are about how they run what you can't even within 100 feet be any kind of weird apparel near them. And so that's the contract of just my friend that has a building that a Tractor Supply is in. I can't imagine trying to be a merchant inside Tractor Supply. Maybe we can get into that. But anyway, long story short, we're just going to learn a lot about business and real estate from my man, Mr. Reeves. What's going on, homie?
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I love entrepreneurs that, let's just set this record straight. Entrepreneur is not easy. It sounds glamorous, and you're taking all the risk, and you're living in a dream that hopefully that will pan out. So let's start back at the beginning of time. When were you ever bitten by being a business owner or knowing that you're going to do something grand like you are at this point in time in your career, in your life?
I don't know. I think in my life, I've been surrounded by so many entrepreneurs. It really, it just kind of made sense, hindsight's 2020 of my path, thinking of it today. When I was younger, my grandfather, he owned a dump truck company, and I got to watch the growth of that business. I got to watch the growth of my dad starting a business on his own. And, for me, my journey started in high school. My junior year, I was in shop class, and in shop class, we got to weld. And I weld a smoker, and I was welding a smoker and for free. I got the material for free. The school provided it, and ended up selling that to my vice principal for $350. And I think that's when it all began.
So dial back to your childhood. The people around you were just hustling. Like, was it work ethic? Were you working for your dad and your relatives and watching them own a business, or what was your train of thinking there? That's just natural of life. Like, that's all like, can you remember back what it was like? Was it glorious for them, or was it hard for them? Was it strenuous? What was it like watching other entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I have to say, watching my grandfather, he was always very ambitious with all the businesses that he was involved in, I noticed the time freedom that he had.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to take me and my sister on several trips throughout the summer. We would go RVing, and I guess without someone sitting me down as a child and telling me, hey, be an entrepreneur, that's, associates your, with some sort of time freedom, so I think it was just always shown to me through several people's actions that was in my life. It was my grandfather's, and then it was my dad's. But I've also seen the side of entrepreneurship that is, I guess, not so great, where where you almost get addicted to the grind. And so, yeah, for sure. And so, just through my journey, I've always kind of been attracted to entrepreneurship in such a way that you kind of live both the best, a best world. You get to grind it out, but you also get to benefit from your success and just kind of have that time freedom with your friends and family.
So what other aspirations? So, I mean, you're obviously creative. You took some pieces of metal and created something that had value. Okay. So you're creating value from something from nothing. Did you have any other aspirations as a child, like sports, or did you know that you were going to be a business owner someday and at any young age? Or
yeah, definitely not, man.
Cool.
Growing up, I was actually held back in third grade. And that was about the time my parents were going through a divorce. So I'm sure there's some sort of stuff there that I was dealing with, just going through that transition. But, being held back in third grade and then kind of falling behind and stuff, I think I had lower self-esteem and mostly felt less than, thinking, oh, I'm going to have the ability to be an entrepreneur or someone high level. To me, that was unreachable. But
I think it's typical, not typical for everyone, but like just to I think what fueled my fire was that you're never going to amount to anything, learn a trade. That's what they told me. Like, you're not going to go to college. And I just wanted to prove people wrong. But in your case, you saw both sides of that, right? You had some self-esteem issues, I guess you could say, and then you found creativity creating something with your hands.
Yeah, definitely. It's so like, if in my junior year of high school, I was working at a grocery store called Price Mart, and I was a bag boy there. So I'd go there and I'd work all week long, make about $300 on my check. But then I noticed the little amount of work that I invested into building that smoker, which wasn't really that hard at all. And I just flipped it around and made $300 instantly. And to me, it was kind of freeing, I got to witness it and just feel that firsthand of what it felt like trading my time for hours, a lot of time, trading my time for dollars. And there was a lot of time that I was trading, as opposed to creating and giving value and exchanging value for money. That was, I think, one of the pivotal moments.
I think that's huge. I mean, I think that's your defining moment. Like, my son asked me this question the other day, Dad, I mean, this kind of crushed me in a good way. He's like, Dad, why'd you drop out of college? And I'm like, okay, the dude's 9 years old. What I'm about to say is going to change this dude's trajectory for the rest of his life. Either am I for college or am I against college? And why did I? And I was like, man, I was like kind of peeing my pants. And this is what I said to him. I said, Maxwell, I dropped out of college because I know that I want no matter what happened, if I got a degree, I'm making more money doing what I'm doing now than a degree would ever help me. And I said, I just made the conscious decision, son, that college was not going to bring me to the location, to the places that I wanted to accomplish as a business owner. Now, there's nothing wrong with going to college, and I'm not an anti-college. Deep down, I am. But reality, because I'm a blue-collar guy, but the reality is, it's like, for me, I knew at a young age that I didn't want to climb a corporate ladder. I didn't want to work for somebody else. I wanted to create my own way. And I think that's kind of a similar scenario, the defining moment in your life where it's like, I can do this. And so, all right, so you're out making smokers now. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
surprised you don't own smokers. Are you going to have a brand of smokers?
I know. Well, so the idea behind that was, Wade, you need to learn a trade and, kind of get started with that. And initially I thought I was going to be a welder. That's what because I won some awards at the Tulsa State Fair my junior and senior year. And I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm going to do.
Mm.
And, at the back of my mind, I was that guy like, hey, I enjoyed it. It was natural to me, like welding, and I love the creative part of it. But there was that other part when you were done welding, you're, all this black soot stuff in your nose. And I was just like, man, like, I played football and basketball. So I was very in tune with being healthy and stuff. And I was like, this is just not healthy for me. This just can't be healthy. I can't do this for the rest of my life, And so I was always searching for that. Hey, what is my thing that I can do? What is, like, what's that thing? And I've always been searching for that as an entrepreneur. I mean, I've had many of, success stories, but probably more failure stories as an entrepreneur than anything.
Yeah, that's the real deal. People don't know you. I mean, they see your success, and I mean, you really blew up overnight in my mind. I mean, my friend told me about you, and about your brand, and I'm into fashion. I like fashion. I like urban fashion, and it's just cool how it's just taken off, and it's just been humble beginnings for you, right? I mean, like every hat that you have sold has been a labor of love. I mean, I know it's just like you don't got Walmart knocking on you begging for them, right? I wish that was the case. You're calling people. You're setting up. I heard through the grapevine that you're I saw on your Facebook page that you're at a trade show. I mean, that's like freaking COVID. You're out there trying to hustle and had this cool design just to eat. And like people don't know. It just sounds sexy. Man, I own a business. It's a hat company and we got these big dreams and visions, but man, deep down, it's like, it's a risk. I mean,
it's a risk.
And people don't,
it's scary.
Yeah. I feel your pain. I mean, and you have such a calm demeanor around you, and you're like just rolling with it. Like I'm doing the very best I can. I don't know everything, but I'm working forward, the best that you can. That's the impression that I received from you. Just so take that with a grain of salt that, you're inspiring people without they knowing that. And so let's get into, you're in high school, you graduate high school, let's just skip right to this because I'm fascinated about the OkIe brand. I just love that people love it. I came to Oklahoma in 1992 and I remember landing here, being dropped off. My mom's like, peace out. Went back to California. You're on your own. And I remember this place called Eskimo Joe's. And when I saw you, I was like, bro, this is Eskimo Joe's 2020, right? And you're like, okay. Like, but for real, I remember when I got here and dude, everyone was telling me about this place called Eskimo Joe's and you got to buy a shirt. And it was like this raging brand. And it's still, it's so funny. The guy that the photos are on your Facebook page the other day, the guy had an Eskimo Joe shirt on. Did you see that?
Yes, he did. Yeah. The orange Eskimo Joe shirt. Yes.
Right. And I'm like, I just speak future for you, man. I hope that you would just eclipse that brand. Like when you go to the mall, and this is like 10 years ago, and there's an Eskimo Joe clothing line. I mean, it's a t-shirt,
Yeah.
But how did you get into this brand and shirt? And I mean, shirts are coming. I mean, I know I saw this really bomb sweatshirt you had on there the other day. I was going to order it, but it was sold out, I think. I'm not really sure, but how did it all start? Like, I mean, you're like welding and now you're sewing. I mean, what's up, dude? Like, I'm like, you got a thimble? Did you make your own thimble? Like, tell me, like, what's the transition from there? How did that happen? How did this all start? And how did you go all in? So let's start at the basic here. What compelled you to start this brand?
So it was basically fulfilling a selfish need of wanting a Oklahoma themed hat. And,
Swagger.
yeah, for sure. It's like everywhere I would go, some of my favorite stores that are like high end stores like Ida Red, downtown Tulsa, I would go there and I'd look for shirts and I'd find me an awesome shirt. And I'm like, cool, I got a shirt. Now I need a hat. Could never find a hat. And some of the hats that I would find were like the Tulsa Drillers hats or like Oklahoma City Thunder hats, which, they were great, but I was wanting something a little different, something that was like kind of made me feel like, like, hey, I'm from Oklahoma and just kind of wear some Oklahoma pride.
Represent.
And I was sketching on a piece of paper at work and just kind of came up with this design. I was like, man, I can make this better. And so I just started messing around with it, and I actually designed it or came up with the design on PowerPoint. And or not PowerPoint. What's the one for the iMac?
I don't know.
Anyways, the PowerPoint for iMac. But anyways,
whatever. So you're like using like a PowerPoint software.
Like a
Encore, a Keynote.
Yes, Keynote. So
oh God,
I designed it on Keynote. Huh?
I said, oh no, I know that. All my friends are gonna just drill me, all my Apple friends, because they know. Anyway, so you're fooling around on a Keynote, dropping graphics and text on a little piece of paper in the cloud. Got it.
Yes. Downloaded it, put it to a PDF, went to one of my buddies' house that had a sewing machine. I was like, dude, I want to try this out. I have a cool vision for this hat. Can we make this happen? He said, yeah, sure. I have there's an order I got to get done for this company, but once I'm done, it's all yours. So we're out in this little bitty shed in Sand Springs, Oklahoma, and I'm just going away at it. Probably went through 3 or 4 different hats that just looked terrible. Finally, I got it to where I'm like, okay, this is good enough for me to wear. So just put the hat on, started wearing it, and my buddies were like, stop me, like, hey, dang, hold on, where'd you get the hat? I was like, oh, I made it. Why? Like, man, that looks awesome. Can you make me one? Which we all know what means make me one for free. And at the time, like literally, like I was freshly just starting my, new life, just coming out of a divorce and no money at all. So like literally like $1 was a lot of money to me. And I was like, man, I want to make these hats for them and make money because this has kind of helped me out financially. How can I make this work? Sweet. And went back to my buddy. I was like, well, hey, you wanted a hat, right? And he was like, yeah. I was like, well, what if I take your money now? They're going to be $25 and I'll get it to you in 2 weeks. Is that cool? He's like, yeah. So I took his money. Man. And I was like, oh, I called the manufacturing company that sells blank hats. And I was like, hey, how many hats can I get? And they're like, well, it's a minimum of 12. It's like, okay. So I'm thinking, crap, I don't have that kind of money. So I got to pre-sell 12. I went around, I pre-sold one to my sister and my brother-in-law. And then I was like, okay, I'm 3 down, got 3 hats sold. And I took that digital image and slapped it on the ugliest digital image hat and put on Facebook, hey, I'm making these hats. Who wants one? And then people started commenting, oh, that's cool, I want one. And had them cash app me the money, took all the money, paid the distributor to send me the blank hats, got the blank hats, and then I went and sewed all 12 hats and distributed those to my friends. And then I took the money from the 12 hats and then turned that into 24, turned 24 into 48. And then I started looking for, what was my next step?
Well, first of all, the number one thing that you did that I think that you will be forever successful is that rule number 1 is pre-sell your vision. And that is a skill that is not given to everyone. It's a skill that is developed. And out of this case, it was out of desperation, right? I mean, we're broke and I got to eat and I'm creative. So it worked. I did similar stuff, but the reality is like my mom called me one day and she's like, Steven, I got this bumper sticker. We're going to be rich. And I was like, Mom, listen, and just after 10 times she's asking me this. And I was like, go sell a bumper sticker. If they're so amazing, go sell them and then I'll invest in it. And she never sold a bumper sticker. And I think that's the reality of life is like, we got these ideas and we think they're going to work, but they don't work until money exchanges hands, until there's value created. And I think
Now, if
that's
I
the
could,
most important thing. I mean, you did the number hardest and no most important thing at a humble beginning.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Now I have to tell you, man, I'll have to be totally transparent. Some of those sales and me collecting money at that time, I think I was so broke and I was so embarrassed to be financially broke that it was kind of painful taking that money. And I can't really explain it other than I've definitely had to work on my money mindset and just like that whole like how that takes place.
Belief.
Because it was bizarre. You know, I was like afraid, hey, will you buy
Are
my
they
hat?
worthy? Am I going to fail? What if they don't like it? I can't refund it. I think the hardest thing is in general is just to ask for money. I think if I can die on this earth, I really want to teach, as many people as possible to ask for the money and take the money. All the businesses I'm in right now, it's like, well, they want to pay, take the money. You can always refund their money. But the biggest, I think the hardest hurdle is accepting the fact that you're worthy enough and it's value that you're trading. And yeah, you're going to make mistakes. Yeah, there's going to be some bad manufacturing situations and you deal with them when you can. But I think the hardest thing for people to accept is the belief in themselves that, I know you're just tickling yourself or pinching yourself. Like, 53 stores, bro. You got to think about it. You're begging people for $25. So cause you ordered 12 of them and but you had it just sounds so simple, but like the heartache of, humbleness of doing it. And then believing it. And then, God, it was an easy transaction, not really, but you got them done. Then where you go from here? And then you just rolled it in. And I'm assuming that's how it all just kept rolling. Is there, when did it start taking, I remember I owned a DJ business, and it's funny that you're a DJ too. But I remember I never it was always a joke to me. Like I was in college doing fraternity parties. It was a joke to me. I just got paid it was like a hustle, And then I remember one day, like, this is a real business. Like people think that I'm a business owner. And I literally for 10 years, I would assume from 1992, probably 2002, I literally didn't believe that I owned a business and this was I thought at any moment this was never going to, and it's crazy. 30 years later, we're getting almost 30 years. The guy that runs the business right now makes several $100,000 a year from the business I started in 1992. But the whole 10 years, I didn't think it was a viable business. And I wanted to quit several times. There were several times I actually quitted the business and took 6 months off and died and resurrected. I don't know how many times have you done that, but let's talk about that real quick. What's your biggest failure so far? I love that you told me off air about your Tractor Supply contract. We don't have to talk about that, and that's not going to be a failure. That's going to be a success because I believe that you're handling it perfectly, getting the right people around you. Because you're desperate. You want to get it in the store because that's distribution. But listen, on a side note, what's the biggest failure that you've had to overcome in this supply chain or graphic design, or give us some real truth of owning a business?
Well, I have a few. When we started, I started out with our first company name. Well, I'm like, oh man, people are starting to really buy these hats and really want them. So I need a name. I need something I could call myself to, just to start a business. And we started off as Midwest OkIes because I needed a name and I couldn't find anything cool and sexy, and so started off as Midwest OkIes as just a quick decision, and it got us to where we needed, but it caused a lot of confusion with our customers. People didn't know the whole debate, is Oklahoma part of the Midwest and only half of it, and it was just always it opened us up for people to
Easy.
troll us on our Facebook ads, and I was listening to my customers at the same time. They were just confused about it. And then one day we were at an event and the OkIe brand just popped in my mind, and somehow it was available. And, so that was like just naming. The first was like a big hurdle for us to overcome because of all the confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which
people
really
searching. Oh yeah. Because when you see the OkIe hat, you don't think, oh, I'm going to go Google search Midwest OkIes. You're going to Google search OkIe hat or whatever.
Or Oklahoma hat.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it was not, they couldn't find us. So that was a hurdle to get over, which luckily we got over that pretty quick. And then the second one that we're still battling with, I was passionate about. So when we got big enough, there was one manufacturer that's pretty well known in the hat industry. And I went to them first, and they said, no, your volume's not there. We kind of don't want to waste our time, dealing with you on this, and thanks, come back later. And so I went to another one, which started out with a company out in Oregon, and they gave us a shot. I talked to the rep out of Texas, and he was like, yeah, I see your vision. Let's rock, let's rock it. Let's just try it. And so he's kind of snuck us in the back door with that, and got that going. Well, I went all in on them just because they gave us the chance. If he would have said no, I wouldn't have anybody making my hats that makes quality hats. And so I was all in with them, and COVID happened, and they actually went through a business merger. And I found out real quick that being partnered up with just one person that makes a mistake or messes up, and it could literally destroy my business, is very scary. So what we have done, we've partnered up with 3 different vendors or manufacturers, and we're more direct with manufacturers in Bangladesh, and even some locally in California and Oregon. So that was very scary.
Open. Yeah, thank God you learned that now. When you didn't get of course I watch Shark Tank and all the other jazz. Like, the biggest problem with entrepreneurs is like they can't handle the volume, right? Like you land Walmart, which you don't want it in Walmart anyway. But I'm just saying, like, you land a distribution channel that needs 100,000 pieces, and you give it to this vendor, the supplier, and it burns you. Well, you just lost that client. You lost that distribution channel, because if you can't get your crap together with that, how in the world can you do it when it scales to 1 million units? Thank God you learned that. You
lose your reputation real quick if you can't get your inventory. Like, so my lead times went from literally like 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the hat, to 4, 6 weeks, something like that, maybe. I just had a big conference call with all of my manufacturers yesterday. Hey, because we had some new beanies that we expected them the 3rd of this month, and I didn't receive a confirmation of shipment, like no tracking number, no shipment, nothing. I waited a couple of days. Well, maybe it's somewhere in the email. I overlooked it. Well, no packages have been received. So I call in my manufacturers and say, hey, what's going on? Oh, they're delayed. We don't know. It's going to be this week. No communication, no nothing. So basically we had a big conversation about how important it is to be understanding. But when things happen, let's communicate, because if I don't know that they're pushed back because of COVID restrictions, I can't, adjust.
Mm-hmm.
And,
that reminds me of one of my clients back in the day when I was coaching was importing wedding dresses and suits from China, and just the intensity of communication and importing, and the container sitting in LA, and just the fees and the communicate. I mean, it's intense. I definitely need to give you that guy's phone number. He's a wonderful friend of mine. I need to hook you up with him. He's got pointers for you. He's got to, on that side of things. And that could affect your business in a heartbeat, right? There's your margins right there. I mean, you may lose a customer because of the delay, on and on and on. So let's go into your goals. There's two questions I have, so you can start working on the creative one. But my one is like, how do you come up with creative ideas? And, what do you have so many, designs so many far in advance, or is it by a whim? And then what's your goals of it? Like, is there a monetary goal? Like so many units or stores, or what do you see? What's your vision as a CEO of this amazing brand?
So, starting out with the design, it started out on a whim. But now we are designing summer hats and stuff right now. So we're on track. And basically what I do is I go out and I'm like what you read about Sam Walton. I'm taking pictures of other hat brands. I'm studying new brands that I see that come up, and I'm just taking bits and pieces of like, hey, I like this fabric or this material. And then I'll turn it over to, we have two designers that we've hired out of Oklahoma City. Cool. And I just distribute, hey, I used to have one designer, but now I have two. I learned my lesson, right? Yep. And so I give them their own little projects and then just kind of let them get creative. But we give them some direction. And we we definitely listen to our customers, because, I could have the coolest, sexiest design, but if my customers don't identify with it and they don't get it and understand it or like it, they're not going to buy it. And without them, we're not a brand.
It's interesting. That's the word on the street. My friend that introduced us, he was like, this guy's got a social media presence that's very powerful. And it's a really good story, off camera here, radio here in a minute. I'll go give some suggestions of some businesses. I mean, you built this whole thing through word of mouth and through social media, and the creativity behind that. Are you the thrust that runs that aspect of your business, or do you have a social media company supporting you in that?
That's all me. Yeah. So, I did. Yeah. And sometimes you have to really give yourself business hours, operating hours on when you're going to, effectively deploy social media stuff and answer people's questions. Cause it's a blessing and it's a curse at the same time, because sometimes I have to get onto myself. It's late in the evening and it's time for me to spend, all my attention, or give all my attention to my wife. And sometimes there's customers or vendors that, need something right away. And sometimes I allow that to rob my time. So definitely keep that in mind when you're building it. But I feel like what's been our superpower is the OkIe brand's always been about the community. And so basically I've just been shining a bright light on our customers and our community and just showcasing their experiences. When we started out, we would have my OkIe hat experience. And then people would write into our email. Like we have a auto email. Hey, thank you for purchasing with us. And we'll have like a little thank you letter and tell them a little bit about us. Well, they'll write back, hey man, that's awesome. I used to live in Oklahoma, but now I'm in Kansas and I bought this hat for me and my brother. And they just tell us their stories. And like one day I was like, dude, we need to highlight this. This is cool.
Yeah.
And
they're part of the
so
brand.
I just started highlighting. Yeah, they are the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that's so important. I think people get lost, and we as a generation of people want to be a part of something, especially success, part of a team, a gang, whatever you want to call it. Right. And I think you're given that vehicle, especially people make fun of Oklahoma. I'm from California. I was born in New Jersey. So I've been on both sides of the coast. I'm telling you, I've been in here since 1992. There is something genuinely special about Oklahoma. People Now they understand because California's crazy and people are moving here, but there is a special bond with just Oklahomans in general. And I think you're creating that through the hat. I mean, I own one and I wear it to my son's wrestling practice, and the dads just look at them. They're like, that's a cool hat. They don't, of course men are like weird, they don't like, where'd you get that? Like females, oh, I got that at Target, I mean, I'm whipping out my phone, Googling it up. Like that's legit. Are you going to have any other products or clothing line behind this? What's your big vision? What's your goal, your dream on this? I mean, of course, multi-million-dollar solid brand, obviously. I mean, it's not, let me speak that into you. But what do you see, like a whole outfit? You said shirts matches hat earlier, and there's a terminology in California called that's a fit. Do you have that vision? Give us some future insight of what the OkIe brand's going to look like, or what do you think it's going to be?
Yeah, I definitely have it on our vision board, our company's vision board, to have more selections for hats. And then I want the hats to also match a shirt, and then maybe get into some other cool stuff like socks or something like that, are themed based. That's a big vision that we have just going forward. We also are very focused on, we went to the auction, I think it was Tuesday. I think it was December 2nd or something like that. But we went to the auction in Tulsa and we purchased a warehouse. So we're going to have a warehouse in Glenpool, Oklahoma. We're excited about that. And that's going to help us with our distribution and just shipping and receiving, because we were renting a space, and then the space, it just we had some theft and break-ins from just people, like, I don't know, casing the place or what, but so we pulled everything from that, and we started operating out of a house, like a rental house that's just all OkIe stuff. No one lives there. It's just a house of OkIe stuff.
Awesome. Let's talk about financing. I mean, I know you came to the leadership retreat, and I appreciate that. And my friend shared a text message that you guys have been texting back and forth, that you raised some funding, and you were ecstatic about it. Tell us what happened there, and were you shy about it? Was it hard for you to raise money? And I can't remember what he said, but you kicked yourself that you took so long to raise these funds. And then when you did it, and I guess it's just the timing, that one of the guys in the group just encouraged you and supported you and told you what to say or whatever. I don't know. I really don't know. I get excited when, one of my friends helps another friend, and I'm somewhat, I was able to introduce that, it's like, it's such a feeling for me. That's why I put those events on, is for us to grow. And I grow so much personally, but when someone sends me, a message, it's really phenomenal. And I guess apparently I didn't know you were raising money. I can't remember this in the conversations that we had.
Yeah.
There were so many people with so many ideas. I think the greatest, your goals was like phenomenal. Like, I want to make this much money at this time. And, that was the deal breaker, and everybody was quiet in the room, and let's just get it on the table. Cause like, I have no apologetic, but you were like, I want to make $150,000 a month. Right?
Yes.
And
for my rental portfolio,
which you already have.
OkIes.
Right. This is just mainly, ladies and gentlemen, this retreat is mainly real estate people, and it's totally doable. 150,000. I know it sounds crazy, but it's possible. And there's friends of mine that do that. But the reality is, when you said that, and this is why I'm the next time I do this event, I'm going to have an application process, and I'm really going to vet some people out. But I noticed that when you said that, I was like, this dude's going to do it. And I wonder what other people said. You know what I'm saying? In their mind, like, that's impossible. You can't think that way. I know that all of the net worth that I have, the relationship I have with my wife, where I'm at today is all because I wrote down goals and dreams. But anyway, let's get back into and I love what you said earlier. You're like, I got a vision board for my business. And guys, I've been telling you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, write this down. And because you can't, if you don't have a roadmap or something to look at, you're never going to get there. But let's get into, like, you were in need of raising money for, I guess, for this brand, right? For OkIe, or is it for real estate?
No, so we've had, going back, we've had a lot of people ask to invest into OkIe, and I've always declined because I don't want that. But some weird reason, people, sometimes people are just on the sideline watching you, and then somehow there's I guess this door opened up with this doctor. He was like, hey man, I'm watching you guys with this hat brand. I'm watching you with your real estate. I'm watching you even how you're spending your money. Like, you're not going out buying lavish cars or anything yet. He was like, tell me, like, what's going on here? Like, just tell me your story. And so I just told him about the real estate side, because he's a real estate guy and he's even been burned in the past. Well, this was prior to me going to the retreat. I told him, hey, me and my wife, we had the vision of buying one real estate, like, we just wanted one rental. And then in a year, we bought 4, and then the 4 duplexes. And then so flash forward to today, we just closed on our 13th duplex just a few days ago. And so he was like throwing money at us. And I was nervous. I was scared. And he was like, well, I want to partner in on a deal with you. I'm a doctor. I don't have time, but I do have money. And
private lending. It's my favorite
exactly. But I was like, man, I don't want to have a LLC with a partner and go 50% on it. Man, I've been through a divorce personally. I know, right? Yeah. I was thinking, man, I've already been through a divorce. If we don't work out as business owners, I don't want to go through that again,
Yep.
And
I hear you.
So I didn't know how to make a deal work for him. So I pulled a Zach Morris on him. I said, hey, time out. Keep that in mind, but let me figure this out. We'll do a deal, but I just don't know how we're going to do a deal yet. I go to that men's retreat. I get like just a clear vision from our mutual friend that you're talking about, on how to structure the deal that's a win-win for both of us. And when we got back, I went to my attorney and said, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. This is the model. This is a sample of what it should look like, because our friend gave me a sample of what his documents look like. And so it took 2 weeks, man. And for him to finally give me the documents. And I was like, man, this is not working out. So I went to another attorney. He kind of fixed it up. And so got the documents ready, called the doctor, did my pitch. He said, heck yes. And then closed the deal on funding for a new deal that we're trying to purchase.
It's awesome, man. And it's that simple. And I think it's just a process of being open and aware out of your comfort zone. I mean, especially you've been burned on all sides, and then just be willing to listen to someone else that's done it. That's why I think these retreats need to exist, because you just never know where you're at, and you should always be growing and learning from someone else. You may not agree with everything, but at least you can get spurred on to do what you need to get done. And that capital infusion that you need for that, is this for real estate, I guess?
I used that for real estate deal.
Yeah. And and that friend that we're talking about has pushed me. There's a lot of things I've learned, like pulling money together. I never thought of that. And he pulls money together and then pounces on a acquisition. And there's just so many great ways and creative. And you're also helping people. There's a private lender that I have in my world that I just did a deal with, and they're just regular employees, W-2 and people that have a small, IRA, and they're getting no return. And VanCauwenbergh runs around and says, look, I could give you 6%. And they're just so thankful that, I write them a $500 check, interest only check, and their money's working. And at the same time, I'm using that money to buy more assets. And so it's such a great blessing to be a win-win to the person that doesn't know what they're doing, but they know they need a return. And it's a blessing to me because I can use that money to grow my business. And I just encourage you, Wade, to do it more and more, and just do it, conservatively, and have reserves and continue to grow.
Yes,
So,
and I definitely started off small and conservative because I truly believe that you could grow too fast, you could overcommit, and that's what, as an entrepreneur, I'd always say evaluate.
yeah.
If you're taking off too much than you can handle.
So right now you're kind of just feeling it out. 53 stores. I mean, it's not easy just managing 53 people, vendors. They're probably some on consignment, 30-day net, all kinds of weird crap goes on in the garment world. A lot of people don't know that there's inventory that's outlaid by this man. And then when someone steals something, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
And then you got distribution channels that take a pinch everywhere from the manufacturer all the way down to the distribution channels. So you got to deal with that and learn that skill set. And then you got real estate on the side too, right? So you got 26 units. Do you manage those yourself?
Yes, I do. We manage them. I have a good wife and a good teammate. I could not have done any of this without her.
Absolutely.
At all. Yeah, straight up.
I already know that. I mean,
yeah,
just the way you talk. I'm in the same boat, man. I mean, yeah, it looks like I do all the work, but if it wasn't for a supportive woman, I would never be where I'm at today. Impossible. And my wife is the one that encouraged this radio show, which I never wanted to do this dumb thing. And but it's really cool and fascinating because I just get to hear people like you that are just normal people, just having a dream and pursuing a dream when little do we know that it would ever go this way. And, I love to wear your hat, man. It was just weird. I just felt compelled to, I think the biggest problem with society is that we're selfish and we just continue, like, when something's good, we need to tell people about it. Right. I mean, we got a young entrepreneur killing it down in Tulsa. It's not easy. It looks easy, on the outside, but I mean, the sacrifices that he has to make. The little thing I could do is like, hey man, someone go buy a OkIe brand hat. And it's so funny because that little weird photo we took when we were in Arkansas, me laying, someone called me or something and said, and I'm like, hey, whatever it takes to help a young entrepreneur, I'm about it. I mean, I would not be where I am today from my mentor and from people that, when I would call them up and scared and peeing my pants, should I go get this deal? They're like, sounds good to me. That's all I needed to hear. And you just never know what's going to compel you to the next level. And so, hey man, whatever you need help with in Oklahoma City, I know there's some really cool stores coming up. There's one of my favorite restaurants in the world. It's called the Loaded Bowl. Right next door is like a real swank little shop. They need to carry your hat. And so I don't know what your business model is. I have no idea how it works. You just pop in there. I mean, sales reps. I mean, if I was trying to run a business, I'm like, how can I scale? How many more people can I get to work for free on commission? Load them up. I'll tell you one story that was pretty amazing. I used to manage a bunch of bands, and the way to make money is selling merchandise. And then, of course, CDs have changed to MP3, so you can't really make money off of music anymore. And that's why artists perform, and they get some residual from streaming and stuff. But, I mean, the big record labels, they just control that. I mean, a lot of people don't know they're getting like less than 10%. But where they really make money is merch. And so I used to go to all these festivals, and I would hire young kids. I call them a street team. You probably know this. Load up their minivan full of merch and just send them to Oregon or Washington or these like festivals on the lake or the water, and come back with a couple $1,000. So, maybe you should look into a street team. I'll be your first one, Oklahoma City. Send me a box, consignment. I'll go to the store, drop them off, and I don't know, leverage that way. There's people out there. If you're interested in supporting Wade in any way, go and buy a hat. That's your first thing. I had to buy a hat. You can't be on the team if you don't buy a hat. You gotta put $35 down and say, I'm about it, and I believe in Oklahoma. I believe in this man's vision, and you got to do it. So I just and let's be in the OkIe Brand Club. And then
Yeah, for sure. And
I
if I
don't
could
know.
say
I'm
so,
always raging with ideas. They sound great coming out of my voice, but then it's like real work behind it. But I just whatever we could do to support you. I know the men that you connected with there, they believe in you, and they're appreciative of your authenticity and willing to help them. And so I think that one regret, and that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, but we're running out of time. But the one regret that I have is I never asked for help, and I was a lot of pride, and I just paid people. It just made it easier. And then I didn't have money to pay people. Then I didn't do anything. And now later in my life, I asked people for help. And it was really gnarly today. One of our guys in our group called me and he's having a problem. And just my little perspective helps him. I think that we just need to drop the pride, look at the big vision. And it's not about the dollars that you receive. It's what you could do with what you receive. And, you could help someone else. And hopefully you will be financially free. I know you're at a long game here. This is, inning number one. Maybe you're still on first base. I mean, you're still dealing with the umpire to get in Tractor Supply. I mean, golly, I
yeah.
can't even imagine the hours and the money just to negotiate. And
Oh,
then
it's scary. The
yeah, just
contract.
just have an attorney look at it. Yeah, $500, and like the dude's a douche. Like, did you really look at the contract? Did you read it? What's your intent? And that's where I was like, I'll definitely give you the number of my friend who was just dominating. And this is about 10 or 15 years ago in that space. And we were landing $1,200 wedding dresses for like $100, $60. And then he got into suits, and then he was selling suits all over the country, and he would be at market in Dallas, and I was with him and then we were in market in Atlanta. This was one of my very first paying clients as I was a consultant, and I didn't know a damn thing about the market. But I learned real fast. There's scalability there, but there's also a lot of pitfalls, especially overseas. But anyway, I would love to introduce you to him if that could help you in any way. And if anyone else any other suggestions or brand ideas, and I know Wade is very creative, and I know one day you're going to have a contest. I think those are always really fun, like a design contest, and man, I'm just super stoked for you. So how do people get a hold of you? Your website? How can I buy a hat? Tell us about how do when someone needs to connect with you, how do they get with you?
They could connect with me personally on Instagram at Wade Reeves. That's at Wade Reeves. And look us up we're active on Instagram, Facebook at the OkIe Brand, and you can find us it's theokiebrand.com.
So the OkIe, OkIe,
yeah, the OkIe Brand,
the OkIebrand.com.
Yeah.
And then so if someone's can go on the website, they can see they can make an order there and ship it out. And if they order now before Christmas, will they get it in time?
Yes, they will. They need to order it. So it's going to take about 2 to 3 days max to get to their house. We're working around the clock right now to make sure that the shipments are there in time. I like the fact that you're so giving, and I knew before coming on to be interviewed on this show, I was just like, what can I do to give back? And so I want to give your entire crew, the savvy investors, a discount. We created a discount code.
Nice.
That's savvy, all capitalized. You get 15% off, and I'm just going to keep that live forever. We're not going to discontinue that code ever.
All right. I'm done. I didn't know you were going to say that. So, but what reality was, I was like, man, if you're thinking of a Christmas gift, this would be a really good Christmas gift for somebody. And I was going to challenge people out there. You buy this hat, right? That solves the problem of giving a gift. But I think if you want to go to the next level, write a letter to the person that you're giving this gift to. And when you buy this hat for 30 something bucks, or I don't know what they cost now, but I looked them up when I first met you. And when you buy this hat and it comes to your house, I want you to write a letter to the person that you're giving it to. So I'm gonna go buy a hat today. for my son. I'm gonna use my code. All right. So get ready. So I'm gonna get this hat. Do you have kids? You can make it small, right? Like kids hats kind of size. They can make a small.
Yes.
I can. Well, he's getting big anyway. But I'm gonna buy this hat, and I'm gonna write a letter to my son. I'm gonna say, Maxwell, this hat is manufactured from an entrepreneur in Tulsa that is living his dream and came up with this idea and made this logo, and you're holding in your hand a real deal product from a real deal entrepreneur. And hopefully one day, son, that you would see the labor that it takes to bring something to market against all the naysayers and divorces and bad attorneys and legalities and sales tax. It just be, and on and on and on, and compliance.
And copycats. Yeah.
And you realize that you're holding a piece of history. And I think, and not only for just the fight for Oklahoma, because he was watching a show with us about all the tornadoes in May and just the carnage, right? And this, how Oklahoma just rallied together, and it, outside of race and outside of color and, or, economics, it's just about helping people. And I think I really believe that I should be an advocate, damn it, for the OkIe brand. I think that's what it's about, man. When I'm actually going to get tattooed the Oklahoma state. I saw it on one of my homies playing basketball 10 years ago. And I'm like, I love this place because it just defined who I am. Like, and I was watching Chicago, that's the carnage. And I'm like so lucky at the same time. This place is so amazing. Opportunities everywhere, real estate's everywhere. You can buy a rent house for $30,000. You can be financially free if you want to. You could live on $2,000, and you can also start a business called the OkIe Brand. I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about it, OkIe, but it's like, man, I just hope that that you never give up, man, and that you keep pressing forward, and know that there's crazy savvy investors up here in Oklahoma City that are going to support you. And hopefully you use the code, maybe in a month or two, text me and say, hey, if there's only that one sale that you made, but I'm down. And I just felt led, listeners. And if you have a brand or something that just coincides with my belief system, of real rags to riches entrepreneur, just let me know. I mean, this dude's not paying me. I'm not getting no commission. I just want him to be successful. I think that we're just in this competitive environment, or that he's bad because he's wealthy. We need to break that habit, and we need to cheer each other on. When you help someone else, you're helping yourself. You're giving when he sat down and he was just real cool and humble, and he just told us a story. Wade told a story about just humble beginnings of just being railroaded in past relationships and not knowing where to go, and couldn't believe that this was functional. I was just humbled just for his authenticity, and just, I can see that this success is going to be pouring from you. And I don't know if you know Jesus, but I just pray that you get this contract with Tractor Supply, because it kind of in lines with your vision. I mean, the good old boy country, cool, and also hip. I mean, these country boys need to be hip, and in small town Oklahoma, they need to buy a hat that represents them. And I think it's a great brand, man. I'm super stoked. So if you ever sell any shares, investments, let me know. And I think it's smart that you're not doing that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Borrow people's money. Don't give them any equity. That's my rule. Take the money.
Well,
give them a percentage interest.
I'll have to tell you, we've kept the same model that I started on. We just kept reinvesting the money back into the business. So, we don't really have a reason to borrow any money, because we're a debt-free company up until whatever we have to borrow for our warehouse. So
one day you're going to have to borrow, because you're going to get a contract. Yeah. So get ready. So, I like your business model, and I'm debt-free. I get it. Right. Yeah. But I'm closing on a property today. I mean, I got some debt on there. Here's the deal. You're gonna just get sophisticated in that arena, and make a list of all the people that want to invest with you. You don't have to give them ownership in the business. I mean, that's one way to do it, but I think you can still do it in a smart, capital infusion way, where you can borrow $1 million and pay interest on it like you would a bank, but it would benefit all the small little people that put in the money. So I just raised $10 million on a property down in Houston that we closed, And we have 66 people that put in money. That's an average of $150,000. Some people put in 400, some people put in 50. We let a few people in, but they're reaping from our labor of finding the property, remodeling the property, and they're getting paid for that. And they have their capital protected, collateralized by this entity, this apartment. And I think we should use that same business model for other entities, for businesses, because you have a great brand. It's successful. It's proven. You're debt free. You're making great financial decisions. Hey, I'm going to need $100,000 to print 30,000 hats or whatever you're going to need. What size? Did they give you a number of how many units you're going to have to deliver? Did they give you an idea?
No, not yet.
I'm assuming 30,000. I mean, there's 100 stores. Each store is going to have 30 hats, 10 each, 3 per side. I don't know. I don't understand your business, but I'm just saying, like, there's going to be $100,000 purchase somewhere. So then you're going to have to go back to then you're going to have to go back to your manufacturer and squeeze them just a little bit more, or get a guarantee a little bit faster. And then you're probably going to have to fly there or send someone or get, a third party down there that represent. Anyway, this is another scenario, but you could raise that 100,000 privately and offer 6% or 5% of what you would get. On a business loan is around 10%, depends on high risk, and I think a lot of people would invest in you, not because that they own your business, because they don't. They invest in you because they believe in what you're doing, in the brand, and for Oklahoma and for other entrepreneurs on top of that. That's just my philosophy. I may be psycho. I know venture capitalists are probably flipping me off right now. That's not how it works. Probably not. And they don't have to do it. Right? But, I'm excited for you, man. I'm going to check in with you next year. So a year from now, where's the brand going? And it's awesome. An investor that you don't know that's locally, his name's JJ Grits. I was just chatting with him yesterday. When he was on the radio show, he had 24 units. I think it was the beginning of the year. And he told me, he said, Stephen, I'm on 75. And I was like, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I think, I was like, I thought to myself, and then you popped in my mind. I was like, I need to go back and interview these people, and the good, bad, the ugly. And where are you? And where have you grown? And I think it'd be good. It'd be good to record it and just inspire more people, and then maybe we could sell more hats. I don't know. But Wade, I really appreciate your time, man. This is a lengthy podcast, and I'm honored to wear your hat. And my son's going to get one, and we're going to go on from there. Anything else you want to say? What last advice would you give? Your son is 18 years old. He's graduating. He's got a beat up F-150 that's 10 years old. What would you say to him?
I would say start with the vision board, because you have to know where you're headed. And then once you get that nailed down and clear, do not veer from that vision. There's several times that people don't understand the OkIe brand, or, hey, are you going to make Texas hats or Arkansas hats? Well, no, we ship the OkIe brand hats to Texas and Arkansas already. So we don't have to do that, because that's not our vision. That would get us sidetracked. And just stick to your vision and your mission.
That's it. And it's hard because it's a revenue generator. I mean, I get it, right? Oh, put Texas on there and make more money. But, sometimes you got to say no to say yes. And God we only know where this is going to go. It's exciting, man. I'm glad that able to document this, December 8th, 2020, 53 stores, and you're negotiating right now at this moment with Tractor Supply. And I hope that Tractor Supply would see the same vision and would believe in you. And it always reminds me, when I first did the very first bridal show, just talk about selling your 12 hats. I was broke. I had no money, and I had this vision to do a bridal show. And I called that dude that became my client that imports from China. And I was like, Brian is his name. I was like, I'm doing this bridal show. I'm a promoter. I've been doing concerts for X amount of time. I'm a DJ. And I think I can get a bunch of brides to a wedding facility. Would you be my sponsor? And he was like, okay, how much? And I said, $2,000. And that was the most I've ever asked at that time in my life. And he wrote me a $2,000 check that day. And it changed my life forever. First of all, we need to ask, and you shall receive. And the second thing, that guy became to this day, one of my lifelong friends. And can't wait to introduce you to him, because I'm telling you, he can just one 30-minute phone call. I guarantee he could put you in the right place of importing. I mean, I've seen him. I've seen containers show up. I've seen I've been on sales floors. I've been on trade show booths. I've been at the market in Las Vegas. So, or no, it was in Atlanta. But, that's the guy believed in me, and I'll never forget the $2,000 check that he gave me. And then he sponsored and believed in me for 10 years. And then I sold that business, and I sold that business for $400,000. And that business today, I sold it in 2012, 8 years now. I still got a couple more years left. They've been paying me $22,000 a month ever since that. It's been paying out, all from because I asked for $2,000 from one guy, and he said yes.
That's awesome. Did you make him pay you extra for a non-compete clause?
Well, he was a tuxedo rental place. So
never mind.
He was a sponsor.
I was thinking the DJ. Oh, okay.
Oh no. I was dumb at the time. I let DJs in, but even the local DJ down there in Tulsa. And then eventually I had to kick that dude out because he pissed me off. But the reality is, but someone believed in me, and so these 12 people that believed in you, I would recommend, man, you write their name down. And, I love running the marathon in Oklahoma City. There's a friend that I know that has ran in every single Oklahoma City bombing marathon. And they take care of him every year he runs it. And he's getting older. This dude can't believe he could still run 26 miles. But I think it's cool that Oklahoma City recognizes that he was he's been in every single marathon. He was like the first guy that signed up, blah, blah, blah. I think you need to go back to the people that, those 12 people, and try to remember them and do a story on them. Mm-hmm. And make a hat for them one day. I don't know, like a limited edition. I don't know. We have
we have a limited edition for Bricktown and Tulsa that's coming out in January that we're really excited about.
Well, we're going to have a Savvy edition. No,
there you go.
But no, I literally got an email the other day from Joe Rogan has an energy drink out. It's called Spicy Pineapple. And it has CBD. And I don't follow Joe Rogan. I know he's huge. People follow him and stuff. I thought that was interesting. You look at Steph Curry is all on Under Armour, has lost so much money. And I watched this episode yesterday on CNBC about Under Armour. I like Under Armour stuff. And they're $1 billion company. They took over the world, and now they're slyly sliding back. And they believe that Steph Curry, New Deal is going to just propel them. And I like their vision. If you study Under Armour, they kind of made fun of the athleisure fit. They're like, why didn't you make more clothes for this athleisure vibe and stuff? He's like, we are a performance brand, and we're sticking to what we believe. Wow. Yeah, we can make more money making Lulu llama pants and and making everybody feel sexy in yoga pants. But when someone's wearing an Under Armour product, it is a performance-based thing that has been thought out, designed for a very specific reason. And it was just interesting. And maybe you should collab. Of course, you've already thought of all this, Jazz. But one day there'll be a Savvy OkIe hat.
Extra savvy.
I don't know. But I did make my own socks though.
You did. I did. I made my own.
Yeah, they're coming your way, homie. So get ready. What size shoe are you?
Yeah.
Are you 12?
12.
Yeah. I figure you're a big boy. All right, man. Well, anyway, go to OkIeBrand.com and buy your hat. Use the code SAVVY, capital SAVVY, and you'll feel good about yourself that you're believing and you're sowing a seed in a wonderful business that's just now turning the car and just moving forward. So, Wade, it's been a pleasure, and we will meet again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at SavvyRadioShow.com. Connect on Twitter @LandlordBook and always be buying assets.